So AJ and Parker Brewer, and if you all could come forward and
Sure.
tell us about your business,
All right, Parker.
businesses.
I'm really informal, guys. So I'm gonna sit down if that's all right with everybody. All right. One thing, I am a really active manager, so if there is text, forgive me, guys, but I have to reply. I got like 3 new people at the shop today, so I just want to apologize in case that happens. I don't think it will happen.
Okay.
I do want to say something in regards to what everybody was talking about before I got talking about. What did I write down here? Yeah, you guys should all write a book. That would be really good. And it was really, really easy. I don't know how to do it, but I got a lot of friends that do it, and it's really easy. It's like it's as easy as going to a website and like figuring it out. Like, you know, there are people who do that stuff. I've got authors that come in my coffee shop all the time, and they got an idea, they write it, and now they're an expert on it. And if a kid writes a book on, man, you make a lot of money doing that. So you guys should do that. And Aaron, did you say like having an article written about you? So I don't ever pay for advertisement through newspapers, magazines, stuff like that. I may boost a social media post. I do pay for advertising, but as far as like magazines and newspapers, the way is to get a story going and get them to write about the story. I didn't really plan that, but that just happened to me that everyone's like, oh, you got a cool story, so can we interview you? So I have to turn people away. You know, it's like when advertisers call me to spend money with them, I don't have to, because the New York Times will call me about a story and just write it, so for free. So yeah, that's solid. Did that happen to you or something? How do you know that?
Yeah, Mom's started a private school.
Oh, cool.
So we got like a newspaper article written, and then we were on TV. Like,
Yeah, you can't be like kind of free.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know what they want. The news media wants a good story. The advertisers want some money. You have to advertise. Sometimes you don't have a choice because you don't have a story that's well known. If you get a story, those media outlets are always looking to put something out there. So, all right. So how much time do we have?
Till 11:15.
All right, cool. Park, we got a long time, man. What do you want to talk about? I don't know. That's my shot. Don't tell me. Now, I'm going to let you talk in a second, okay? I promise. So just some factual stuff, and then I'm going to try to, if you guys are interested in having a dialogue with me, maybe we can kind of talk back and forth. I'm from Richmond. I was born and raised in Richmond. Grew up here. Went to public and private schools, and then ended up becoming a stockbroker. Anybody know what a stockbroker is? Any of the kids know what a stockbroker is? No? Who's the oldest kid? You? Are you an adult?
Probably.
You're probably like 20 or something. I don't know.
No, he's still in high school.
Oh, cool. Do you know what a stockbroker is? No. Okay. So, what's your favorite thing to purchase in life? If you had $100, what would you go out and buy right now?
My business.
Outside of that. Outside of your business. You had I gave you $1,000 right now. What are you going to buy? You have to blow it on something that you like.
art supplies.
What would you go buy this stuff for your business?
Phone
But where would you purchase it? Amazon, great. Biggest company in the world, right? Something like that. One of the biggest companies. And you can not only purchase those and put some money in Amazon's pocket and potentially sell them, put some money in your pocket, you can actually buy the company Amazon. It seems far-fetched. I don't know if it seems far-fetched to you guys, but you can actually own Amazon, literally, right now. You can go online. I don't know what it's trading for, but if you had enough money, you can buy a share, which I assume is reasonable. Usually one share of something doesn't cost that much. But you can buy it, and I would essentially facilitate that trade. So if you wanted to go buy Walmart, Chipotle was mentioned, McDonald's, Lowe's, Amazon, you can actually own them. It is not a pipe dream. It is not unreal. You can go online right now and buy it. And that's what I did. And I did that for a long time, and I made a little bit of money. So I worked for like 10 years, and I ended up quitting because I had a little disagreement with my boss. Because you guys aren't gonna face this right now, but when you get older, you're not really gonna care about money as much, like material stuff. Sounds like you're already on the boat, man, because you don't even blow any of your money. You care about happiness. He blows yours. Your mental happiness, your ability to pursue what you want, your choice, your freedoms, all of, some people say the forefathers, what they came over here for, that's what you really want. You don't really want to just have to do stuff all the time. You want to do what you want to do. And that's where I was. And so I was like, all right, I'm over this. And I ended up looking for a job, didn't really get hired. Had he was 3 months old at the time, and then the guy gave me an opportunity, essentially, an idea to open up a coffee shop. So I now own Brewers. No, sir, go sit down, please. It ended up with me opening Brewers Cafe, which is a coffee shop. I have an art gallery that is on Hall Street in the same neighborhood. The neighborhood's called Manchester. I don't know if y'all know where that is, but downtown on the south side. I'm opening up a waffle shop. My son is an entrepreneur as well. He owns Parker's Candy Stands. He's a brand ambassador, which also another genius idea for you kids. Don't go scrolling mindlessly. Go find an opportunity to get connected to a brand so they can give you free stuff, and then potentially start paying you money to start posting about it. That's the real use of social media. Don't just scroll. And so by me getting active with him, he's a bike rider, like a real bike rider though, like BMX, like trick jumps, stunts, and so he gets opportunities to travel and do stuff with local bike companies, and they give him bikes, and yeah, so that's his life too. But I don't know. It seems like you're in the family business, and a lot of people go that route, and that's a huge part of his life. He was born in Brewers Cafe, but I also wanted to, like you, give him some independence, and so I don't want him to be 12 thinking, I'm gonna go work at the coffee shop. I want him to be 12 and going around picking up his money and replacing his candy, and even though the mindset is the same, the lifestyles can be independent of each other. But the freedoms it can give us is that we don't have to do anything we don't want to do. And I know kids can relate to this, man. Like, you guys got to do whatever these guys tell you to do. Isn't that terrible? I mean, it's good. It's good. I got it. We're here to protect each other, but you essentially want to be able to get that freedom that you guys yearn for right now. You want to do. If you don't go through with your business idea, you will allow a company to tell you what to do for 40 years. That's fine too. It's not the end of the world. Some people have great jobs, but I would argue that it's much better to have control of that stuff. And yeah, so what else could we talk about here? Before I keep drowning you guys with mindless information, does anybody want to just start talking to me about stuff? Like asking me a question? Not yet? No? Okay. I got a lot of stuff to say. So it can generate a lot of conversation. Somebody has something? I just want to keep talking. I want to break it up a little bit. So I'm just like.
Could you share some of your experiences as a business owner dealing with not so pleasant customers? I imagine at some point in their business they'll have that experience. I know my daughter has had one or two.
So I watched something on Facebook yesterday, and this guy gave this guy a 20% tip, which is normal, but also gave him $100. And the kid seemed to be in high school, but troubled by something. And so he was recording the exchange. Anybody see that? Yeah. Y'all saw it? The only time it was on mute, so the only time I turned it up, the guy was saying, "You're getting this because you're nice. You never know who is in front of you." I don't believe that should be the motivation to always be nice, but I will say that there's your evidence. No matter how mean or wrong a customer is, they're always right. They have way more power than you to destroy your business if you're not nice to them. So I say, I treat everybody the same. You know, you come in with a very nice personality, wanting to engage with me, you get as much attention as the person who is very short and nasty with me. And so nobody ever can say Ajay Brewer was, you know, mean or nasty, and I think that's the larger point, is that when I get a customer that a customer that I don't, can we be real here? I don't even want to talk to you anymore. I don't want to see you again. We don't ever have to be friends. You know, one of those exchanges. I always remind myself that I'm always to do the right thing. My mom, father, you know, these guys taught me to always do the right thing. Now, I don't always do the right thing, but I never go, oh, there's ammunition to be like you. So the lesson is, you know, in business, in life, you know, always treat people nice. In business, if you don't treat people nice, it will ruin your business potentially, especially now. With the ability to go onto Yelp, and I've seen 3 businesses in Richmond be torn down by Yelp. People saying the wrong thing, you know, getting on the political, racial arguments. I don't know if you guys, that's over your head, but you know, America's having a serious argument right now, and business owners can't just get out there and say stuff. I don't care how you feel about it. And what happens is, on all sides, people will ruin your business for something as little as, you know, putting mushrooms on a sandwich when you shouldn't have, because you don't know what they're going through. You don't know why they just snapped. You know, I would argue that everybody in this room has snapped on somebody and said, "Damn, I shouldn't have did that," or has, you know, essentially acted the wrong way and then regretted it. So yeah, that's how my father and my mother and my grandmother, you know, treat people like you want to be treated at all times. That's not a claim of perfection, but that's the aim, you know. So don't be one of those business owners that's like, oh, we don't have to do that. Like, forget you. That will break your business. You know, I think in the beginning when we got, all right, so let me dive in more here. So Yelp and Google, right? Highest ranked coffee shop in the state of Virginia on both of those platforms is Brewer's Cafe. We are the only 5-star rated Yelp coffee shop in the state with like at least 150 reviews. And I don't know what it is on Google, but we are essentially in the top 1%. It's like 4.9 or something crazy. And I believe that there's a whole host of reasons of why we're that way. But I think what happens is when there is a public statement about how somebody was dissatisfied with me, there is a great reaction from my business, you know, either me or my staff, to make that right. And so it's always in your best interest to leave somebody with a great taste in your mouth, you know, in their mouth. You don't want to give people a reason to not like you, because that one person can lead to their family not liking you, their families and friends, and then next thing you know, you're not selling gold anymore. So yeah, before I keep going, anybody else?
What made you start Brewer's Cafe?
So let me give you guys a deeper story. There's some cursing in this story that I'm gonna skip over because you guys are a little younger. But it's fun. I say that because the governor of the state knows this story, and he always says it to me, and he makes everybody uncomfortable because, anyway, that's a whole other thing. That's a true story. So I was working a job, and I was in DC, and I worked for Rick Edelman. Rick Edelman is the owner of Edelman Financial, and it's a big wealth management firm. And I ended up getting an opportunity at a nightclub. I was out with my friends, and he was like, "Hey, I heard you with Edelman, but we got this opportunity to come back to Richmond, take this job." So it was a lot of money. A lot to me, just saying, I can give you guys real numbers. I didn't graduate from college. That's another story. Anybody want to talk about that? We can talk about that too. But out of college, I made 60. Ended up coming back home to Richmond, and I was making well over 100. And I was like, oh, I don't need to do anything. I'm rich now. You know, I'm 20 something. I felt like I was invincible. And it's just not a lot of money, also, guys. You just don't even know.
And those are thousands. So.
Thousands, yeah. I made $100,000 a year. And I was in the nightclub, and I took the opportunity, and I went through the interview process, and we moved back home, and he was born, and my boss quit because in the stock market, salesy jobs, a lot of turnover. Anybody know what turnover means? Y'all know what that means? It's like if I have a company and I own the company, and I'm hiring a lot of people every year because people keep leaving my company. So in that industry, that happens a lot. And he left 2 months into it, and I didn't think that I was going to be met with such force from the new party. But she had an agenda, and she's essentially just looking back at it. She wanted to clean house, get rid of the old staff, get in some new, because to her point, she needed to change the guard. It wasn't performing. But I was 3 months into that job. She quit, and coincidentally, a friend of mine whose last name is Baker. So my last name is actually Brewer. L.C. Baker came into my apartment and asked me if I wanted to open up a coffee shop and call it the Bakers and the Brewers, and I thought it was genius. And it wasn't until I quit my job that I circled back and said, okay, all right, I quit. I didn't quit for a job. I didn't quit for an opportunity. I just was, my mental health was more important at that time. And I started auditioning for movies. I started doing stand-up at like local comedy clubs, Funny Bone, and all these other open mics. And I also started to plan this coffee shop. And my idea was whatever works first, even if a job calls me back first, I'll go after that. And I'm a hustler, so I went after the money, and I ended up getting funded by a bank loan, small business loan through First Union, or Union, whatever they're called now. The bank that was in the old U-Crops, Union Market First something. And then the city matched it with half. So I got $75,000 in loans, plus another $15,000 in loans from a friend of mine. And then I took 10 grand, because again, I was just living up to my means. That's another story. And we took about 100 grand and we opened up Brewers. Great point of finding the need, because I don't drink coffee. I drink it now. I mean, I do drink it now. I don't drink drip coffee a lot. I drink espresso. But I had 0 cups of coffee before I opened up Brewers Cafe. Not a single cup. I didn't like it. It was disgusting. I only like it now because I drink it all the time, and I can taste the subtle differences. But I knew people loved it, and I knew it could create a community, and that was my need to fit in to a neighborhood and actually create and build that neighborhood. I'm going to say something because it's important, so hopefully you guys catch this one day. You guys in the middle probably got it already, but the generations from slavery up until World War II had it made. They had to pursue freedoms and for, based off of their, let me not be too political. Essentially, my point is after World War II, everybody started to be about self. There was no family conversations, family farms. Is that not dying? Are people not just, is that?
It's starting to make a comeback.
Yeah, because people are so, I'm sorry.
Small family farms are coming back.
And most farmers are like over 65 or something.
Yeah, and the younger generation is so independent that they are not interested in having family businesses. You don't see families keeping their homes anymore. All that stuff. Technology has essentially helped America and the world so much, but you lose self, you lose family. That's what's important. We choose financial and big houses and colored cars, and it's just ridiculous. So it was in my best interest to leave DC, come back home to Richmond from the South Side, open up a coffee shop, live on the same corner, and open up several businesses in that same walking 3-block radius, because I wanted to create my community again, and that's the truth. So that's my story. You guys can have your own story, but I wanted to make sure that the community essence was still there. This kid is bright, and I don't want him to be so bright that he decides to go to Harvard and then become a politician or a big fancy executive or whatever. I want him to care about his family first. So. We shop at the thrift stores, we Uber here. I would have rode my bike here. I would have rode my bike here if I was close enough. Because again, the experiences, guys, I want to make sure that you guys have a little balance. with all of your ambitious goals, and that it is hard to balance while you're growing and trying to get stuff off the ground, but don't run too far away from what makes you guys who you are, your family, you know, things that you care about, and then let that business idea fund those things. If I ever make $1 million, you know, I'm gonna build a compound for my family, you know, my circle. We're gonna do things together. I don't wanna grow away from people, you know. I wanna build, here's where we got it wrong. I wanna build lifelong relationships with my family and friends. I don't wanna do that for a corporation. I don't wanna build a 40-year relationship for Walmart. I wanna build it with him and his friends and my friends. Everybody get that? Anybody have any questions on what I just said? Oh, you guys are a little old, yeah, probably. Okay, that's good. So Parker, do you want to talk about your business, buddy? What kind of business you got? You want to talk about your bike riding? What do you do?
I do some tricks.
You do some tricks?
If I go up the sky, I don't do anything.
Yeah?
If I don't fall, I don't hurt myself.
Yes, that is very, very smart, son. That's really
If
good.
I fly down, I don't hurt myself.
So Parker, here's a good lesson, guys. So hobbies, man. Look, I'm going to build my entire life. I'm going to create it like the Sims video game. I'm going to just create it, I swear to you. My son is a bike rider. Now, Parker got into bike riding at 2. He opened his business at 2. That's just because who daddy was. I had a lot of time to invest in him, so we invested in these nice bikes. And, you know, he's riding this bike, and he's not even 3 yet, really. And he's riding the bike, and he turns 3, and then he starts to ride the bike. And now I want to get him invested into the hobby of the sport, right? So now he's in BMX. Where's your busy BMX car, buddy? Oh, it's over there. And so BMX does everybody know what BMX is? Yeah? No?
Look.
I'll just say it real quickly. So BMX is bike riding, racing around the jumps, you know, the little tracks, pump tracks is what they call them. And I did that because this is something that he likes to do, so let's get him involved. But what was also a smarter idea is, again, social media. So now I know the power of social media. So now I'll post what Parker's doing. You know, I'm a business owner and I own that bike company, and I see a 3-year-old jumping in this, like, up, he says, up the sky, jump up the sky. I need that kid to represent my company. So I know that game, and so I don't even have to ask people. I'll just post it a lot and tag them a lot and give them support and spend money with them, invest into them, and then they'll just reach out. So they reach out to us and they give him bikes and clothes and gear, and because they understand that if I post it, they'll get more people to, you know, to look at it and see it. So there's a form of advertising for them. I will say that should be something, that should be a goal of you guys, to turn your entire life into a way to generate money. It's like residual. You know, if you are good at something, find a way to make money on that. I mean, nowadays you don't even have to work hard. If Parker wants to get on his bike, I get on the bike and I take a picture, and people love to see it. You know, so think about ways to, like, turn all of your passions into paychecks. You know, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be really hard. They don't all have to be business plans. You can have a solid business plan you take very seriously and generates a lot of money. But if you like to play softball, there are people who play softball for money here in Richmond. Like, everything can generate, even your hobby can generate a dollar bill. And the more money that you spend, the more time that you spend, how should I say that? Anybody ever heard the expression, putting all your eggs in one basket? Yeah? I have 7 different eggs right now. So I have different baskets, is what I'm saying. I've got my son's 3 businesses, and I have 4 of them. And that's called diversity, like diversification. Because if one thing fails, that stinks. But so what, really? Because I've got 6 other things. So it's not necessarily a plan B, but I want all of my business ideas outside of my primaries to be about my passions. What do I like to do? Swimming, biking and mountain biking. They just gave us a trip to go mountain biking for free, like camping and all that stuff. And so think about ways, there should be a primary goal. I don't know about should, let me not tell you what to do, but there should, you guys probably have a primary business, but don't forget about ways to implement that dollar bill around your entire life. And it doesn't even have to be stressful, right? Like, I left corporate because I was stressed about talking about money all the time. And the reality is that it wasn't necessarily about talking about money. It was why. Why am I talking about money? I'm helping rich people get richer. Now I talk about money from the form of, if Parker has a race today that we may go to, if he goes, there could be potential money rewards for us to do that, partnership ideas, and it's not even stressful, it's not even like, oh, I don't feel like doing this. It's like what he wants to do, Everything on his social media page is about what he likes to do and how he generates money from that. I don't know, hopefully I'm not talking too much about this stuff. You guys getting it? I talk too much.
You mentioned his social media page.
Yeah.
Are you using a Facebook page for him, or are you also dabbling with Instagram and other social media platforms?
So social media for me is a lifesaver. I use Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I don't use Twitter. I just have it connected to my Instagram. Excuse me, son. I'm talking. What are you doing, man? What's up, man? Sure. And so I log on to Instagram. I have 7 Instagram accounts that I manage. Man, I have 7 Instagram accounts that I manage. And then, I guess the kids know this, you can sign in to all of them through Instagram. So if I'll post a picture today, and that can get shot to everything. So I don't have to send 7 different, Twitter and Snapchat and all that stuff. But yeah, we use that heavily. And then I think the truth is, and this is potentially for the older folks and then for parents too, like, this is the age that we're in. I had introduced Parker to this social media game because we could stop saying that it's just social media. This is life now. People are winning, losing, dying, breathing, they're living their lives on social media. And I would argue that it could be addicting, and it could be used in a very, very just useless way. Like something that we talk about at home is we don't just sit down and watch TV. I assume that most of you guys are that way too. We do not watch TV. I mean, we can watch TV, and we watch a lot of it. We're not going to sit down and just sit there and stare at a TV when we could be biking, filling up a candy stand, doing something that's more enjoyable. So I say use social media now, use it to the point that you master it, because, Parker, what you doing, man?
Advertising.
Yeah. You advertising? I use your advantages, okay? So your advantage, guys, is that you're kids, and adults think kids are cute, right? Oh, it's cute, that cute little business. Parker, yeah, everybody loves Parker. So when we did a Wu-Tang sandwich week. I know probably nobody knows who that is. Does anybody know who Wu-Tang is? No parents. I saw a video the other day about there's a popular copy in Richmond. He posted a video of some kids, and none of them knew who they were, but it makes a lot of sense. This was a very long time ago if you put it into perspective. Anyway, there's a very popular rap group that has this huge following or whatever, and so we did a fundraiser on that, and we had flyers. So I took 500 flyers. Park, come here, buddy. I took 500 flyers, and I understand the demographic, and so I go to VCU and I try to pass out flyers. I'm going to argue that most people are like, I don't want that. Get away. The girls will be like, don't talk to me. The guys are like, I don't want this. So I take Parker with me, and now everybody's like, oh, I want one. And that's how you guys are looked at, even at your age, really. The ambition that you guys have, the desires that you have, are looked at as admirable, and so use that to your advantage. The somebody please write a book. It doesn't even have to be like 500 pages. It could be like 12 pages. Matter of fact, it could be, so two different stories, messages. You guys, a little older, maybe yours is 40 or 50 pages, right? Because you're able to do that. But a cute little, how old are you?
11.
And not that you're not cute, but I'm talking about the book. So a cute little book from a little 11-year-old that's ambitious is not going to just fly off the shelves. It's potential to be on the New York Times bestseller. And not to even say that you're not able to do something amazing, but it doesn't even have to be amazing. You know, like the bar is so low because your kids are starting so early. Take advantage of that. Take advantage of that, man. You guys got to take advantage of it. And you can, I think, I'm so thankful that every day I wake up, I make money all day long. You know, all day long, no matter what I do, there's some sort of funding coming into my bank account. The bad news. So anybody want to hear some bad news? Because I've been talking like life is sweet, but life is really hard. Really hard. I was making tons of money. MOM and I were still together, and that's not there anymore. That is the truth, guys. Like, the business is a small piece of what you guys are going to do. Your life, you know, my problems are different. I got adult problems. But you guys are going to have real problems with your business. And so that's my problem. What else? I'm broke. I don't have any money, guys. I don't have any money. When you open a business, you just pour it all into your business all the time. It's a hope, and maybe perhaps mom over here. Who has a business? What parents have businesses? You obviously have a business. Okay, you do. I don't know where you guys are and how long you've been there, but I still don't make any money yet. You know, and that's. I don't have a car. I can't buy a car. I don't have. My credit score is terrible. This is sacrifice, right? You know, I want to say the good stuff. I usually say the bad stuff first, but kid group, let's butter you guys up, say the good stuff first. But it's a balance. It's a strike of trying to find the balance. And so realize that, you know, the balance is necessary. And when the days are too hard and the order's too strong and you can't feel this and that, don't do it. You know, take a break, be balanced. You know, it's not all about making money all the time. I find myself unhappy a lot. I mean, much happier most of the time. But, you know, the fears of what could happen and how much pressure is on me is heavy. But the good news, and the parents can say this, is that's going to be there if you work for somebody or you work for yourself. You are going to be stressed out, right? Like, it doesn't even matter. So why not just do it for yourself? And the truth is, I'm much happier. You know, I am much happier. What else?
I have a question.
Yeah. Oh, questions. Yes.
Yes. So, as far as like being a parent of a young entrepreneur, what are some of the things that you have experienced so far? Also, what about as far as like with signing? Is he able to sign documents or things like that? So, could you tell us a little bit about that?
So the second part was about Parker and signing documents. Who was the first one?
Just experiences with the excuse me, experiences with you being a parent of a young entrepreneur.
So Parker, I mean, all right, so I'm teaching him about all this stuff, but legally, you know, it's just my stuff right now. He does have a bank account that's a custodial account so that all the money goes to him. But none of you guys can have anything in your name because you're too young. You can't even have it in your name. You can have bank accounts and other accounts that are custodial accounts, meaning there's a responsible party. Most of the time your parents or grandparents. Or you can just not use a bank and just hoard the cash. But that's again, you guys are good. You guys are old. That's funny. They're like, that's funny. These guys don't know. So that's that. That's the reality, is that, you know, if your parents are good people, they're not gonna, you know, take your stuff, but it's got to be in in their name. Being a parent, it's not hard, but the reality of my situation is that Parker is in a split household, so he's got mom's way and dad's way, and there's commonality there. We're trying to work, get on the same page, and that's the struggle. Is that not only does he's in two separate households, but as you're growing, you get to know your grandparents. You got a whole other circle of friends. You got two circle of friends, and the balance, I think, from the parents' perspective, both mommy and daddy, is trying to find an element of balance where we want Parker to be great and do great things, and we want him to take leadership roles and do all that, but again, that key word of balance. So it's not hard, because man, is that an easy challenge, but I'm also raising a person. So the reality is we've got things that we want him to do in life outside of a business, and so to find the balance of school and studying and entrepreneurship and freedom and money and all of that stuff. So it's that makes it very very difficult, I would argue. And if we could just gonna be real here for everybody, if the child is in one household, it's very easy to create that sort of system and balance of structure. Although I'm a big proponent of being free and doing things on your own time, there's got to be an element of like grooming this child just for life. A lot of the lessons that I'm giving him are life lessons. I think that the reason why this kid didn't have anywhere to spend his money is because dad taught him, like, hey man, that stuff's stupid anyway. Don't blow your money on stupid stuff. And so, but if friends are telling you different and they're a stronger voice than dad, then not only is that not making you a strong person as dad wants you to be, now you're blowing your money, and so your business is not even strong. So again, balance, man. It's not hard, but to be consistent is a challenge with a 3-year-old, teaching him how to talk, write, walk, and be mindful of manners, and teaching him that money is important. There's so many lessons that I have to teach this kid, while I'm teaching him how to be a human being, and that's, so teaching this business owner how to be a business owner and a human being is tough. It's easy because I like it, but to completely like wake up every day and try to do the same thing over and over again, to beat it into his head is a challenge. It's definitely a challenge, but it's something that is easier said than done. It's easier done as an entrepreneur because we have the freedom. So mommy's got, she works at the Federal Reserve Bank, and she works from home a lot, and so she can be there with them a lot, and I can be there with them a lot. And she's homeschooled, so that's great. But yeah, hopefully that answered your question. Yeah. Yes, sir.
So you have a lot of different fires burning.
Yes.
Do you find kind of a challenge of kind of, attention having to be placed on a lot of different fronts at the same time? He's homeschooled as well. And he's got a lot of different creative ideas and opportunities, and I'm not trying to smother any of them. He's young. I want him to learn as many skills as possible, but also in his business ideas, you have to kind of run with certain things to be most profitable. And that's where he doesn't know where to spend his money because he's into so many different things. So it's kind of that aspect of how do you really find that right idea, and how do you groom that into kind of a business?
Bless you, son. What I can say is my experience, right? So I don't want to come across as an expert, guys. I just have my experiences, and I think you'll learn from as much as you ask other owners. That's what they'll say. I've got my story, and this is what's helped me, and hopefully it can help you. I have a lot going on, but they're very similar. So I serve on the board of a bank here in Richmond. I serve on the board of a school. I have one coffee shop, one art gallery, and I am very civically involved. Okay, so I don't know what the right idea is. I don't know which one of my ideas will work. I'm actually moving into a stage in my life where there is 3 businesses. Up until May 1st, there was 1. And so I'm very new. I'm about to find out if it's going to work or not, you know. But I will say that I opened up the art. Hey, Parker, come here. Let me teach you something, buddy. Can I teach you something? If there's somebody speaking, you can't speak over them, buddy. Okay? All right. I know you're talking about your business, but we'll let you talk about it from up here. Yeah, no, I'm gonna let him. I'm gonna let him talk, and I'm gonna let you show them some pictures and videos of you doing your thing. Okay? I'll let you do that while I talk. I would also encourage you to go after all of them. You know, as far as the financial piece, I take for granted sometimes that I was a financial advisor for 10 years. It was beat into my head to keep a lot of money into my bank account. So what I have in my bank account is not necessarily like what I really have. So I keep more than I should. So my advisory team told me people should keep 6 months cash reserves. Some people say you should keep 2 months cash reserves, depending on 2 years, depending on your life circumstances. But the point is you should have some money in a bank account that is emergency funding. Opening Brewer's Waffles probably would not have happened had there not been an art gallery. The art gallery is an easy $200-300 a night to get people to rent it. We're not there yet, but a few months up and running, advertising, people want event space. Boom, we get $6,000 a month. I would argue that you guys, while you're doing all of this or going after a lot of ideas, you do find something that is producing money. Because as much as we want to say we want to do whatever we want, we got to have some cash coming in. So, example, Parker has a candy stand business. He also is a brand ambassador. One of the brands that he's associated with is Little Nomad Shop, a little book clothing store run by a family in downtown, in Jackson Ward.
I'm not showing my boots. I'm showing my shirt.
Oh, thanks for clarifying.
A book bag.
Okay. I see what time it is here. Am I okay?
No, you're fine. I guess this question and answer.
Oh, it was question. Yeah, true. I'm
Yeah,
not
so
mixing
we
it all
just
up.
wrapped it all in.
So, but I want to say something about it. So Little Nomad Shop gives them clothes. It's not a money producer thing. So Little Nomad wants me to take time out of my day, not work at my shop, lose money, then they've got to give us something for that, right? But now Little Nomad and I are not in some sort of contract. I like them, they like us. Parker likes to show, Parker likes to do stuff like this. So we do it. But had it not been for Parker's Candy Stand, there's no money coming in to support these ideas of going to get a bike and being able to bike over there and being a part of photo shoots, because there's not real money coming in. The brand ambassador deal with Pello bikes, those are $500-600 bikes, and they're free, but some stuff costs money. So I needed that Parker's Candy Stand. I needed to teach them that money's got to come in. If you want these, I want to go take a picture, hang out with my friends and party at the Little Nomad Shop, and I want to get a bike and I want to ride. You got to have some money coming in. So that would be my story and my part. Yes, sir. Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. I will do that. And so that's some advice. Take a little bit of Dad's advice and focus on something that at least is going to produce some money to support all of these other ideas. And if one day you'll realize when you don't want all that money going all the places, and then you'll start to focus on one. But I say go after as much as you want. Just make sure that you've got some cash coming in through one of them. And I think I would not be going after other opportunities had it not been for my ability to kind of like understand, okay, I got to keep a lot of cash and I've got to get something that's going to bring money in. So that art gallery, guys, I don't have to hire anybody for it. Somebody here could be like afterwards, I want to have a birthday party there. And I'll go, okay, send us an email. And you're going to pay me essentially $200-300, $400 if it's a long party. and then I'd have to do no work for that. And that's, you know, these are ideas that you want to try to create to support, you know, all the other ideas that are going to come from your big brains, man. You guys are business owners already, so you're already 10 steps ahead of the game, you know. But there's a struggle, right? You know, trying to figure out what to focus in on in life, and I think some people are at home. What do we think about video games, Pete? What do you think about video games?
No.
No?
I don't want me to do it. I want the big kids to do it.
So I'll say, it's so weird, man. You know, I met kids like Parker that are a little older, that are like all impressive or whatever, and I think that the parents are beating it into them. But you know, you just are you. I talk like this all the time, and now he's talking like this, and this is so great. You guys are 10 steps ahead of the game, man. Like, I try to teach Parker that, you know, video games are cool. All of this stuff is really cool. You know, watching the latest TV show is really cool. Let's do that. But if it's 3 o'clock on a Saturday and we're playing video games, like, why am I going to buy you a video game? You know, if you go buy this video game, Parker, no more night rides. So me and Parker, we go on our bike, pitch black, and we go riding in the dark. But we got lights, you know, it's safe, it's safe. And he can't do that anymore. So the things that you care about, you can't do, you know. So I'm glad to see that you're taking all of your passions, whether it's, even if it's video games, whatever it is, like taking all your passions and trying to make some money from it. You know that they pay guys to watch them play video games? I know the kids know that. Y'all know that now? That's crazy. But it's good. They pay people to play with toys on YouTube. You can do anything. You can start anything you want to. Hopefully you guys, you keep going. I do want to say that I did drop out of college. I want that to be known, because I don't want people to think that I was some sort of privileged person that had everything handed to them. I dropped out for financial reasons. I never graduated. I was a very hard worker at my planning firm, so I climbed the ranks. And somebody told me, Anthony, you better get your degree because you're going to hit a ceiling. And I told them that I don't care because I'll just quit. I talked to Rick Edelman one day and said, hey, I want to make some more money. He said, you got to get your degree. And I knew, I was like, I'm just going to quit. Like, why would I do that? I mean, I would go get a degree for something that I needed, but not to make more money. I don't want my life to be about money, you know. I realize that money's important, but I can chase my passions. We can ride bikes and make money. We can make coffee and hot chocolate and make money. I'm not going to put a suit and tie on and dance for people to make money, you know. It's fine if anybody does that, by the way. But we all want to pursue our passions and make some money from it. Yes, sir. Do you want to say something? Because I know I've not been sharing the microphone, so. What's up, man?
I want to show them the bike things, you know, the bike things when I ride my
All right,
bike.
there you go. Here, show him that one. Yeah, Parker's crazy, man. He's crazy on that bike. Anybody have any passions outside of what they do for making some money that they want to like figure out how to make money with? No?
I think you were sharing that idea about the brand ambassador.
Yeah.
Because I think that's going to be a great tool for us, because she plays championship softball for 8U.
Yeah.
So, but we have a snow cone stand. That's our business.
Yeah.
But I like that expanding.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Yeah, nowadays, I mean, if I were you guys, I would attach myself to brands and or things that I like to do and seek brand ambassador deals from them. All it takes is to go to their website and click the link about contacting them, or you get acquainted with some people that you know that have a brand and figure out if you can be their brand ambassador. There's real ways to make real money and enjoy your life to the point that you can do whatever you want to. That feeling of how mom and dad, kind of, the overseers right now, that you will graduate from that out of college, and you will either go back into that in corporate America, or you'll continue with the market goats and everybody else's ideas to make money and make a profit selling something, which is being in business. Can I get some questions answered? Who's a business owner in here? I didn't see the answer to that. The kids. So one, who's not a business owner? How about that? Are you guys trying to be business owners, or are you guys just in here just trying to soak up some information, or what? trying to. Yeah. Yes, you guys have goals of being in business with business owners.
So his business right now is making props and costumes and the stuff. He does all kinds of swords and knives and gauntlet and what have you. So that's his passion right now of crafting things. Using his ideas, taking plain stuff and making it something that's useful, creative, one of a kind.
Social media, man. Social media. I mean, yours doesn't have any social media, I don't think, because you got a good client base probably, but social media. And even if you already have a good customer base, you are a young business owner, promote the heck out of that. You've already seen the rewards through news articles and magazines. I think I have had, so there's Richmond Mag, RVA Mag, Style Weekly, all the magazines in Richmond. Parker and I have probably been featured in there probably 4 or 5 times each. We've been featured in the New York Times, Channel 8, 12, and 6 have done several stories on us, little business stories on Parker, and it has led to business for us, So get your story out there. Like you can do. This is gonna sound cliche, but you really can do whatever you want to. And man, I can't preach that enough. Anyway.
I agree that you almost have to use that fact that you have a child business.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people that will be happy to come and buy something from a child than anywhere else. So that's a good component in using it in your advertising.
Well, I think that with children's businesses, they consider it, we as customers consider it an investment, whereas with adults, we consider it an expense.
Oh,
So when
wow.
that's a big thing.
Yeah.
And whenever I buy from a child, I'm like, I'm investing into your business.
Yeah.
When I have to go to Macy's, I'm like, that's an expense.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. Use it again. Use it for you guys. Like use it. Please somebody write that book, man. I'm telling you, write that book and then send an email to Channel 6, 8, and 12, and I guarantee you will be on every major publication in America about you wrote this book on market codes or sewing. Anything else? Anybody else want to ask me any questions? Let me give you some real math real quick, 60 seconds. So something important to do, okay? I never say this, and people are like, oh, you should give people some real understanding on how it's possible. So I do some math, right? And I don't know if everybody's up to speed on what type of math you have to do to figure this out, but you will be. If you're not, then mommy or daddy will teach you. I had to figure out how many cups of coffee that I had to sell to make a profit. You did a business plan. Forget the profit, I'm sorry. I had to make a business plan and do some numbers on how many cups of coffee I had to make to pay my rent. And so if that number was going to be $10,000 a day, I probably would still be in a suit and tie because I was like, oh, I don't even drink coffee. How the heck am I going to do that? My number was 90. I had to figure out a way to make 90 cups of coffee every single day. That was about $300 and about $6,000, $9,000 a month. Once I figured that out, I knew that it was possible. So it's very easy to do that. Mom, dad, or whoever can help you. You guys might know that, but all right, I want to do this. It's going to cost X. How much do I have to sell? How much do I have to sell to be able to make this a realistic dream? For me, that was 90 cups. I always talk about this 90 cups thing. All I got to come up with 90 cups. But again, if it was too far-fetched, then I probably wouldn't have done it because it would have taken a lot of time to learn that. So.
Well, thank you, AJ and Parker. Social media, website, where can they find it?
So I am so Brewers. Excuse me 1 second, buddy. So Brewers Cafe is our social media platform for all Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. If anybody wants to follow me or ask me questions or shoot ideas off of me or come to the coffee shop, meet me, talk to me, ask me questions, it's Parker's Daddy. So that's my Instagram name, is Parker's Daddy. And you can send me a personal message. You can send it to Brewers Cafe or Parker's Daddy. Parker's is Parker Lee Brewer. If you don't have a social media and your parents allow you to have one, get one and promote your brand. because someday somebody will call and offer you free stuff. And then somebody will call and say, hey, we want to pay you just to put a t-shirt on. And that's how you support all of your dreams that may not make money as much. Sounds like you got one,
Daddy,
and you're going to make a lot of money doing that.
excuse me, Daddy.
Yes, son.
I didn't get a chance to show those kids
Okay,
the
well,
videos when I ride my bike.
okay, well, let's show them when we adjourn here, okay? We're going to just take a break in a second.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for being
Thank
here.
you. Thank you.
Sharing.
Yeah.
Turn it back over to Curry.
All right, so that concludes our workshop today. Again, thank you all for coming out. I encourage you all to, before you leave, take time, exchange information. If you all have social media accounts, share amongst one another, network. That's also a very important part of business is networking, because you never know who may have a service or something that you may need in the future. So, but again, before we leave,